Exclusive interview with Mr. Günter Nooke, Chancellor Angela Merkel's Special Representative at G7 for Africa. Mr. Nooke, what is your impression about the just ended G7 summit in Kassel-Elmau?
I think the G7 summit in Kassel-Elmau, in the Free State of Bavaria, south of Germany, was very successful, both the entire summit, but of course also the outreach sessions with the international guests, particularly from Africa. The Chancellor has said we want to prepare a summit with an outreach session focusing on Africa. It's not a typical G7 Africa cooperation, but it's an outreach session with the focus on Africa, and we had invited 6 African heads of state and leaders, and I think that was very important to discuss issues with African leaders and not only to speak about Africa as an issue. We need this cooperation, and we need that also the heads of state knowing each other.
The Federal Chancellor pushed forward the issue of health with particular reference to the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Would the other G7 leaders follow her on that score?
Health issues, that means also mother and child health, for instance, were already launched in 2010 at the G8 summit in Muskoka in Canada, and health issues has remained one of the key issues of the G7 Africa cooperations. And of course, in the year 2015, where we had this Ebola pandemic in West African countries, we want to push strengthening of health systems in Africa. It's not only about Ebola, it's not only about a very specific virus. It's much more to strengthen health systems in Africa at all. And the ministry where I'm based, the Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, we have launched an initiative with fresh money, 205 million euro for those issues regarding lessons learned from Ebola.
You are here in Berlin at the Africa Business Summit, just on the threshold of the G7. How important is Africa to Germany in economic terms?
One of the main important events in this year is the G7 summit as a beginning of a very important year for development, and that means the different conferences, Financing for Development in Addis, the General Assembly in September in New York regarding sustainable post-2015 agenda and SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals for the next years, and also the climate conference in Paris in December. And all those important conferences and the goals and what we are discussing will not be achieved without the private sector. And so I'm here with businessmen from Germany and Africa, and we have to work together that we will be successful together. That means we need the private sector. It's not about development aid, it's about how we connect development and public money with the private sector.